your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Live with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us. Take your reactions to what's happened so far here in the NCAA tournament off the Yates Flooring Center chat line or the Visual Edge IT hotline. Juan is bragging this morning, Jamie. He said he missed just 2 games in his bracket. He missed Utah State and VCU. He had Utah State beating UCLA and had VCU beating BYU, as did I. I missed 5 games, but kind of is what it is. And you lost a Big 12 team last night. Maybe no surprise. But maybe a little bit of a surprise with Arkansas taking down Kansas, and now that sets up Arkansas and St. John's to play, and they would play the winner of Texas Tech and Drake. So kind of keep an eye on Arkansas and St. John's.
It's a matchup of the cleanest coaches you'll ever find in America.
Yes.
Goodness gracious. The hair gel and the cheating going on in that one.
Everything's legal now, Jamie. Everything's legal, you know. I did not know this. Okay, so a couple things, and then I want to get to some baseball. So this guy was on TV last night after the Tech game, and when it all was said and done, and they were doing post game, and he said, "Look," he goes, "I worked at WHAS TV in Louisville for 6 years, and he worked there during the Calipari and Patino era." He said, and he goes, "I could fill my sportscast with those guys because it was always a heavyweight fight every single time that those two guys went up against each other or just wanted to talk about each other." But something that one of the guys said last night that I didn't know is that when Calipari took the job at UMass, okay, and it was his first head coaching job. Apparently, the UMass athletic department wasn't that wealthy, and to help hire Calipari, Patino donated some money because he's a UMass guy, and he was doing well with his career at that point in time. He went to school at UMass, had some time at UMass. Anyway, and it wasn't that Calipari was bothered by that Patino donated money. It was that he kind of kept reminding people that he did that. Okay. And so that's where some of the part of the rub comes in between those two guys, is that Patino doesn't like to let him forget that he helped him get that job by putting money into the pot so that UMass could hire him. So a little okay. Peek behind the curtain between those two guys. But yeah, it'll be rock star stuff, right? When those two, that's probably what should have happened. That those two, that's a better matchup than Kansas and St. John's to advance.
Yeah, there's nothing like a friend that buys you lunch or buys you dinner, helps you move, whatever, and then constantly reminds you of it. Because if you're constantly reminding, you're really not doing it out of the goodness of your heart, it feels like.
No.
You clearly were wanting something in return.
Or just want to know, hey, just remember I helped you. Remember, I helped you fix that flat in the side of the road 30 years ago. Yeah, I appreciate that. I told you thank you then. I've told you thank you 27 times. I'm not going to tell you thank you again.
That's why I say, Chuck, don't ever let somebody cook you a brisket.
Oh, because you're afraid that I would bring that up more than once or twice. By the way, you guys won't be disappointed. I think about 5 minutes into breakfast yesterday, I looked at Lynette Pearson and I go, "Hey, anybody know what happened 20 years ago? Who got 19 points in this room 20 years ago?" So I fulfilled the destiny for you guys, and I did it on behalf of you guys.
Nailed it
yesterday. Yeah. Well, of course you knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Hawkins had a great game, but had several times that he took threes where he could have driven in for an open layup, or at least waited until we had others in position to rebound. There's some truth to that, Jamie, with Elijah Hawkins' game, at least in the second half, and in the second half of the second half, a couple times that I saw.
Yeah, he still did have a good game, though. Almost a triple-double. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, right. I mean, you have a triple-double, and we're going to be critical first. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this Red Raider basketball team there's a reason that many of the experts think they could be a Final Four or a national championship contender. That's a really good basketball team we have here. So last night was not their best overall night again, but if the threes are falling, we're probably not saying much about it. But there's at a certain point when they're not falling, I guess there's some truth that you just got to keep shooting, but you'd also like to say, hey, we can win different ways. Let's try something different. Let's go to, they're doubling JT, so maybe we bring him out, we go high-low and get him the ball at the free throw line area. He's such a good passer, and maybe that opens things up for Darian cutting to the rim or whatever. But, again, I'm not trying to act like I'm a basketball coach here, but I did feel like that we didn't – I don't know. We weren't like, oh, yep, they got two guys on him. Let's just shoot, instead of, hey, let's move it around. Maybe he can repost and we can get him on the other side,
Yeah. You sound like a basketball coach sometimes. I mean, you're
only just the yelling and screaming part. It's really who I am. Yeah. I like to throw clipboards too.
I don't think so. Elijah Hawkins played 40 minutes last night, 10 assists, 14 points, 9 rebounds. Don't you think he's going back through the tape going, hey, you sure it's just 9? You sure?
Probably so.
I mean,
triple-double in the NCAA tournament is pretty cool.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Like, he's probably going, God dang it, why didn't I go get that one rebound? I had it right there in my hands and it slipped through. Federico stole it from me. Give me one of his. He had 2. Give me one of JT's. He had 11. You had 9 rebounds from Darion Williams last night, too. He had really good – I mean, he had 41 rebounds. He got out-rebounded by 1, 42-41, but you had 14 offensive rebounds, and Jamie had 18 second-chance points. It's really good, really, really good. So, all right, they'll tip it up tomorrow, Saturday, and we'll have the game for you as they'll take on Drake. This Day in Sports History is next this morning here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Time for This Day in Sports History. Today is Friday, March the 21st, 2025. Here is Jeff McGuire with This Day in Sports History.
Going to start us off in 1953. NBA record 106 fouls in a game, guys.
Whoa.
12 players foul out. I'm surprised it's that few.
Yes.
Boston versus Syracuse were the culprits here. 1959, 21st.
How about you move your feet a little bit?
1959, 21st NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. California beats West Virginia 71-70. West Virginia future Hall of Fame point guard Jerry West is the most outstanding player. In 61, Art Modell purchases the Cleveland Browns for a then record $3.925 million.
See where the Celtics were sold for $6 billion. $6 billion.
It's a large chunk of change.
That's unbelievable.
Yesterday we were talking about the Lady Raiders doing well in the NCAA tournament. Well, today we're also going to be talking about the Lady Raiders doing well in the NCAA tournament. Cheryl Swoops scores 28. And then number 12, Texas Tech Lady Raiders rally from 18 points down against Santa Clara for their first tournament win of that season, 64-58. And in 2003, Andre Emmett had 14 rebounds, and Texas Tech goes on to top San Diego State 57-48 in the NIT second round. It is California Strawberry Day. I don't know what the difference between California strawberries and other strawberries are, but I'm sure there is. It's also National French Bread Day.
Okay.
Happy
I like
birthday.
the French bread.
Makes great garlic bread.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, Gary Oldman is 67, Adrian Peterson is 40, and Scott Eastwood is 39. And on this day in 1980, worst decision in sports history.
Here we go.
President Jimmy Carter announces the U.S. will boycott the Olympics scheduled to take place in Moscow that summer. Announcement came after the Soviet Union failed to comply with Carter's February 20th, 1980 deadline to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan. While I appreciate what Carter was trying to do, because getting people out of Afghanistan is a really good idea, you go to the Olympics. And that is this day's sports history.
You know, Jamie, Jeff gives me a hard time because he'll say, well, I waited for you to bring that story up, or I waited for you that tidbit. I mean, he's got some of this in him as well.
There's a little hypocrisy going on there.
Yeah.
Notice how you both waited for my story? That's fine.
Jamie, I prefer hypocrisy.
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 Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
Why do I feel like I know what the completely random word for today is?
Oh, man. I'm going to Google it because I'm not losing today. Oh, goodness. Okay, so thank you, Jeff. That's this day in sports history. Let's see. From the Yates Flooring Center chat line, with regard to UNC Wilmington last night, we get this. Those guys were prepared with a clear game plan. Kerwin Walton just spoiled it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they do. Teams do come in with game plans, and sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. But thank goodness they whatever they dialed up to kind of try to counteract the game plan of UNC Wilmington, that at the end of the day it worked for the Red Raiders last night. So they'll advance and they'll play Drake on Saturday night. Tip time scheduled for 6:10. So our coverage at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
I think that's 6:10 Eastern.
Okay, so I'm confused then. So I clearly don't know what time the game is. So I apologize.
I think it's 5:10 Central Time.
Okay, because I couldn't tell if I was my deal here that I was looking at was Mountain Time or Central Time or Eastern Time, or I don't know what the hell time it is. It's 6:50. I know that, but at any rate, we'll have the game for you. So if it's at that, so it'll be give you something to do on a Saturday night. You can put the dogs up and get yourself some wings and your favorite beverage and some chips, and just sit in your chair, and you don't have to worry about even falling asleep because it's early on in the evening. So that'll be good for everybody, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. The other, I guess the two upsets yesterday were really Drake beating Missouri, which I think a lot of people saw that coming. And then maybe what a lot of people didn't see coming was McNeese taking down Clemson. They fought back. I mean, they put themselves in a big pickle, but they tried to make it. They made a game of it down the stretch. They just couldn't get shots to fall when they needed to, or committed fouls, or didn't get rebounds. But credit Clemson for at least trying to come back. But credit McNeese for holding them off after they were taking the shot to the mouth. And then everything else kind of went maybe according to Hoyle, except for maybe Arkansas or Kansas. But that's not that big of an upset. I think for Kansas, my buddies said, okay, good. Now don't have to worry about it's got cleared up my weekend. I think was the attitude on that.
That's exactly what I would say if my team was beat too.
Cleared up the weekend.
Yeah, I didn't want them to win. I really didn't. I'm tired of watching college basketball. I'm tired of rooting for my team in the NCAA tournament. I'm so excited now. I can get to the. I wanted to put some weed and feed out this weekend.
Cleared up the weekend. I think there's some disgust. I was disappointed Yale didn't come through for me. That would have been a big upset, though. A 13 taking down a 4.
They hung with them though.
I know. They held with them. So we'll see what happens today as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. Just after 7, we'll talk some baseball as the Red Raiders open up a huge weekend series with TCU. The tournament will kick off or tip off this morning with Baylor and Mississippi State. That should be a fun one. Alabama, a 2 seed this morning, will take on Robert Morris. Iowa State, I think there's a lot of people that are counting out Iowa State, and they're probably saying to themselves, hey, we got other players too. At least that's what I would be saying if I were them, right? They take on Lipscomb. I think a lot of people go, well, I think you can beat Lipscomb. I don't think you can beat anybody else, but they may be a team that kind of bandies together after the injury to one of their key players, Jamie.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes guys step up or it kind of changes the rotation a little bit, and guy falls into place, and it works better. So you just never know.
I think one of the featured games today might be Ole Miss and North Carolina. That's a 6 seed in the Rebels going up against North Carolina, a first 4 team. I think it wouldn't surprise a lot of people to see North Carolina beat Ole Miss. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that is one of the more highly anticipated games of today. Just, two power conference teams going at it against each other. A lot of people rooting against North Carolina because they didn't think they belonged in the tournament. And, a lot of people in these parts rooting for North Carolina because the devil coaches the other team. So, yeah.
Right. Yes, you got that going. And maybe the 2-time defending national champion is dispatched today with Oklahoma and UConn. That's
another intriguing one to me today. That's one I'll be anxious to see the score.
Yeah, that'll be tonight. That's West Region action tonight from Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, it's 6:55 this morning here on the Morning Drive.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have Red Raider baseball tonight at 6 and then play-by-play at 6:30 here on Double T 97.3 from Danlaw Field at Rip Griffin Park. First of 3 against the TCU Horned Frogs. Saturday's a day game, 2 o'clock, and then Sunday afternoon as well. Red Raiders softball, Jamie, is in action this weekend. They're in Columbia, South Carolina. The number 12 Red Raider softball team. They're 23-7. 5-1 in Big 12 play. They'll take on South Carolina. This is obviously non-conference play, but they're ranked 10th in one poll and 11th in the other, so they're just above the Red Raiders.
Chuck, hold that thought. Somehow our phone connection has got you sounding a little bit like Mickey Mouse.
Why are we stopping him?
Because it's not fair for Chuck to not know that we could be making fun of him this way. Chuck, give me a call right back.
Yeah. Sure.
I was enjoying that.
I'm sure our audience was too, but I would like to let Chuck know when we're making fun of him.
They
that
call
feels
me
only
the
fair.
Fun sucker, Jeff. You just sucked everybody's fun out right there. That was thoroughly entertaining. And yes, Red Raider softball team in South Carolina this weekend, and interesting little non-conference matchup here going to play South Carolina. I guess that kind of proves, the strength of schedule and how good this team is, that they feel like they can go on the road in non-conference play. And, man, what a great start to Big 12 play. Just fantastic start with series wins against Oklahoma State and against Baylor, to be 5-1 against 2 of the teams who were picked to be the top 4 teams in this conference. You were one of the other ones, so it's only Arizona that you got left that's of the really good team. So, man, that was a great start for the Tech softball team. Are you back with us, Mickey?
Yes, I am. This is Goofy, actually.
Okay. All right. You sound normal.
Okay. Well, then if you were going to tell me, like, if you could be a Disney character, okay, and you could be like one of the ones that could go around in the costumes, which one would you? Because Mickey is the star, right? Mickey is the star. So, for us, I don't know who Mickey would be. But I know this. I fit Goofy. That's who I would want to be, is Goofy. I want to be Goofy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Disney World. Let Goofy show you around.
I really never thought about it, Chuck. I don't know which one. I'll let you pick a character for me.
I'm trying to think of who our star of stars is. Probably, it might be Mike Gustafson. He would be a good Mickey. I think he would be a good ambassador. He'd say the right things. The kids would love him. The moms would always, they would smile affectionately, and the dads would go, I want my son to grow up to be like that. So I think Gus would be a good Mickey.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gus would be I think he'd be a good Mickey. Yeah. So, so let me ask you this. Do you think the softball folks, the fans, and the new fans, because there's a bunch of them, right? There's a bunch of us that have jumped on the bandwagon or will be as this team kind of progresses forward. Have they met expectations so far? I mean, certainly in the Big 12, 5-1, you're 23-7 overall, and those are great numbers. But do you think those are satisfactory numbers for people?
And they've had a slip up here or there in some of those tournaments that I'm trying to think. There's a loss to like Idaho State or somebody like that on the schedule. I may be wrong on that name, but it seemed like it was somebody like that. That was probably unexpected. You would have loved to have gotten one of those games against the Longhorns. You beat the Aggies once, so I would say it's pretty close to expectations. And then what you've done in Big 12 play, I would winning 5 of your first 6 there. I feel like that's definitely hit it or exceeded, maybe even.
Yeah, I would.
Because Oklahoma State was the team that was picked to win the conference.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and anytime you say something like, hey, they've won their first Big 12 series or they've swept their first Big 12 series since 2019, I mean, we're talking 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking I would say that's exceeding some expectations, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, one of the things that I'm going to do today. Go ahead.
It's just so hard. I mean, you're not comparing this team to what they've done in the past, right? You're not. You're not like, well, I mean, it's great that we did this year. I mean, it's a different deal, right? You've never put the amount of money that you're putting into this program now. So it's not like you're just saying, well, as long as we're better than last year, it's good, right? Because you're not really saying that. You're saying as long as we get to the College World Series of softball, it's good, or somewhere close to that, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're not just looking to we missed the tournament last year, so if we get in this year, that's a big improvement. It's not really what you're looking for with what you've spent on this program.
Right. No question. No question. So, I was going to tell you, one of the things I think I'm going to do today, and I'm going to have some time, is I'm curious the last time the Lady Raiders, won 4 or 5 of their games at the end of the season. And I realize that, not all of this is, the teams you played and the level of competition and all that, but just winning 4 of your last 5. I mean, it's really stunning when you think about it. I mean, you lost 9 games in a row, and look, the WBIT is not where you want to be. You want to be in the NCAA, but you beat a team last night in Wyoming that lost in triple overtime for the right to punch a ticket. And it's a good basketball team, and it was a really good basketball environment last night. I mean, and there was a point in time in the game, Jamie, where you'd had a 15-point lead. Wyoming had whittled it down to 7. You called timeout, and so you get the ball at half court, get the ball inbounds, and Jazz Shavers hits a 3, and that to me was a real defining moment of the game, just from the standpoint that you took a shot in the mouth and you stemmed the tide. You handled some adversity because the crowd was back in it, the band was back in it, and and Wyoming was re-energized, and I felt that the game was in the brink, because if you give up if you miss the shot there and they come back and they hit a shot, well, all of a sudden it could be a 4 or a 5 point game, and then you don't know how you're going to be able to handle that, because you don't have a good history of handling it down the stretch like that. But they handled it last night, and so I don't know. it's just a real interesting way how the season is turned. I mean, it's no banner racing or parades yet, but I mean, it's just watching this team that had a lot of confidence going into this game, and then being able to execute a game plan is something that we haven't really seen a whole lot of. Well,
let me first say this. I thought defensively the pressure that you were putting on Wyoming was terrific in the backcourt. It really took them out of their rhythm offensively. I love the way that both Jasmine Shavers and Bailey Maupin played last night, and I thought Kyla was really active as well. Those are the three girls that scored in double figures, but Bailey just kept coming. She just kept coming. She just kept making plays, and I thought she played really well last night. Beyond that, I think you and I are going to disagree a little bit. I think the gap between men's basketball Power 4 and non-Power 4 and women's basketball Power 4 and non-Power 4, I think it's much greater on the women's side of thing. I saw a Wyoming team last night that I think would have probably finished 12th or so in the Big 12 conference. I did not. They were very. I was shocked at how unathletic and just mediocre they were. I thought the Lady Raiders dominated them. I thought 3 or 4 minutes into this game, I've said to myself, "Whoa, we are so much better than them, and this is going to be an easy win." And they cruised to the victory. I love the way Tech played defense last night. I thought that set it up, but Wyoming just didn't have anything really that scared you at all.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys, we're going to talk Red Raider basketball here. After last night's game, I'll tell you, you can fix one thing that is going to lead you to a Final Four. What do you need to fix?
The muscles inside of Chance McMillan's upper body, to reattach them to the ribs if that's what they are indeed detached from.
I think that's a really good answer, Mr. Heinz.
Chuck stole my answer.
Yeah. Okay, we're all on the same page. Okay, so pick a different one.
Your three-point shooting needs to be better. You had a lot of open looks that you didn't make. You made enough. You did what you needed to do, but you didn't make enough. You didn't make them pay for the double team on topping.
Okay. Chuck?
Oh, you want me to change my answer?
No. I said since we all agree that Chance McMillan being healthy was the number one answer. We all had that as our answer.
I got you.
What would be something else?
What would be something else?
And you can agree with Jeff again if you think it's about you just have to shoot the ball better.
I just think you got to work. I think you got to do a better job of working the ball to get it inside and you got to get some paint touches. Because I think if you can get some paint touches and force them to play a little bit more honest, then I think you'll be better off. Somebody pointed this out. I have not looked at the Drake box score yet this morning, but Drake only put up 9 3-point attempts last night. So they're a team that's probably going to try to pound you on the inside. So you're going to have to confront that. But I do think that you got to get some paint touches inside and drive the ball. Maybe Elijah Hawkins needs to be a little bit more aggressive going to the hoop.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as both of you guys here. I just think the offensive execution needs to be a little bit better. I'm not wanting them to, work the shot clock down to 2 before they put up a shot, but I just don't. I'm not a huge fan of the quick threes because you can get those later in the shot clock. I think if you are going to go deep into this tournament, JT Toppin has to be a bigger factor. You can't let teams say, we're not going, you're not going to get Toppin's not going to get the ball and he's only going to get up 6 or 7 shots. I just don't think that's a recipe for winning. And I think you have to find ways to, even if you're going to him and then he's kicking out to shooters, And we saw some of that last night. We did. I think you've got to use him. You remember there were times during the football season, maybe not as much last year, but 2 years ago, where we felt like, well, everybody knows Taj is going to get the ball because he's our best offensive player. So what we're going to do is we're not going to run Taj. We're going to do things that we don't do as well. Okay, we're gonna pass, and we're gonna throw to other guys, and we're gonna run the ball the opposite way, and we're gonna not use Taj because they're expecting Taj. Well, sometimes you just have to do what you do best. Okay, and even if they're doubling, if you can repost and get him open, whatever, I think you have to be more intentional of getting the ball inside to JT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody says this off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Shot selection have to be aggressive and get to the paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
Yeah. All right. 7:36 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Okay, so going back to what you said right before the break with regard to the non-power 4 teams that the Tech women have played versus the men in the gap. And I guess here's where I am right now from the Lady Raider side versus the Red Raider side. I think what you're looking for right now on the Lady Raider side is steps, and maybe they might be small, okay, but steps of success, because over the last 12 years, Jamie, you haven't had a whole lot of success in winning on the road, whether it's non-conference or regular season, Big 12 play, or any kind of postseason play. So I just think any time that you're having some success and you executed a game plan. I mean, they executed a game plan last night, and I mean and that's what they've been doing defensively, but at least offensively they were able to as well. I mean, there were things that were pointed out that they specifically either did or didn't do, and so we're seeing a team kind of come together and executing a game plan and doing some things that we just haven't seen in the past, and taking care of the basketball. They only had 10 turnovers last night, and the knock on Wyoming was that they were not going to try to turn you over. But I mean, heck, there have been times the Lady Raiders didn't need any help with somebody trying to turn them over, because they've had so many self-inflicted errors over games that it just makes your head scratch, where you dribble it off your foot, or you throw it out of bounds, or you throw it too high, or you just double dribble, or you just travel, or whatever. So I think just trying to have some building blocks of success to try to get your program back to where getting to postseason play and getting into the NCAA tournament becomes something not that you hope for, but something that you expect. And it takes a while to do that. I mean, one of these games like last night's not going to, it just puts you on a road to go, okay, you can do some things here. But I guess that's really my point more than anything else.
I don't disagree with you. It's good to take steps in the right direction, and they did that last night. But I also don't think it's. I think that if Wyoming was playing in our league, I don't think that they would be anywhere near the top. I think that the Lady Raiders have beaten tougher teams than Wyoming this season.
Well, Kansas and Utah would come to mind, you know, and then the way that you've played.
But this was a road win, so give them credit for that.
And it was, you know, and it was a team that had won 22 games. I mean, they'd had success. I mean, you could tell that there were things. You could tell that they were bothered by how Tech played. You could tell that they were. I mean, I made a comment in the second quarter. They looked gassed. Wyoming looked gassed because one of the things that they wanted to do is they stressed putting ball pressure on Wyoming and being aggressive and not taking your foot off the gas and not having a letdown. You had some letdowns in the ball game, but you didn't have those scoreless gaps of 6, 7, 8 minutes that we've seen at times, even this season. There was a couple of minute scoreless gaps, but for the most part, he held team to 48 points that had been scoring 66, which has been kind of the DNA of this team, to hold teams below their scoring average. The problem is you just haven't been able to score yourself. But, you know, last night they put 65 points up on the board, and it was more than enough. So that was just kind of the thought from last night more than anything else. All right, it's 7:40 this morning here on the Morning Drive on Double T 97.3.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you from our respective First United Bank studios. Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app to contribute. Also, the Visual Edge IT hotline is open. If you would like to voice those contributions, you can. If you have big doings this weekend or big plans or just big events that you're celebrating and you want to share or overshare, you know that I'm all for that. So hit us up on that Yates Flooring Center chat line. Jamie, aside from your 3 games this weekend with TCU, is that that's at the top of your agenda? Is there anything else that you really want to accomplish or share with us this morning in terms of your to-do list for the weekend?
Hit as many tennis balls as possible.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I hope the weather's nice for you and you're able to do that. If it's not, I'm sure you'll be indoors. So smack away. As you hit those tennis balls, will either my face or Jeff's face be imagined on those tennis balls as you're smacking them around?
Why do you think I'm so angry? I'm not angry.
Oh, I just wondered. I just getting out frustrations more than anything else.
No
frustrations.
If
that's good.
If tennis reminded me of people from work and I was thinking about people from work while I was playing tennis, I probably wouldn't play as much tennis.
It's your escape.
It's my escape
from life.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. And I surely don't have any animosity towards you two that I want to beat you with a racket.
Well, I
Can I get that in writing?
We get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line because then I've got a question for you. What's encouraging about yesterday is if you had average 3-point shooting night last night, you win that game by 25. There's some truth to that, right?
Yep. Shoot 3 or 4 more and you're covering and you're winning by 19 or
sure
22, whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I completely agree. I mean, I just fear I don't think your offense runs as well without Chance McMillan, and I'm fearful he won't be able to go again this in this game. And hopefully, if you're able to survive this one in advance, then you'd have a chance to get him back for next week.
And the other thing that I feel like that you've got to do a better job of, and I don't know that you've done a really good job of that this year, is, man, and you got to do a better job at the free throw line. You're 15 to 23 last night, Jamie.
Yeah, that's not great, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
So, as much as, too many missed threes could cost you a game, you can separate yourself really well if you can just, hit your free throws. I mean, you're 4 or 5 in the first half, and you missed 7 in the second half, 15 of 23 for the game. So 8 misses altogether. All right, so all that having been said, based on what you saw last night and what you know, how do you feel about things going forward? Are you more nervous now than when the tournament was getting ready to start, or let's say Selection Sunday, or do you feel about the same about this team?
I think I'm more nervous because I worry more about my hope was that Chance McMillan would be able to go. And he wasn't last night, and so I fear in hearing the reports that watching practice on Wednesday, he was wincing, putting up shots. Those kind of things have me worried that he's not going to be able to play this weekend.
Yeah, that is a concern. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line: watching firsthand Drake is well coached and runs a slick motion offense. They're extremely quick and hands everywhere on defense. If we don't play better than we did last night, it will end here. Drake schooled a physical SEC team.
Okay. They're good. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's an early scouting report on Drake. How about an early scouting report on Tech baseball? You feeling going into this weekend as opposed to last weekend? You have to be feeling better about the baseball team compared to a week ago, Jamie.
Yeah, they definitely took another step in the right direction. I think I told you after the Grand Canyon series, I thought they were starting to play better. And I think that continued in Houston. We don't really know how good Houston is at this point. So I don't want anybody to get too far ahead of themselves. But getting 3 wins definitely makes you feel better about things. Seeing them play solid defense, seeing them good starting pitching for a second consecutive weekend was nice to see, and seeing the bats come alive as well. You had 6 different players who hit above 300 in the series versus Houston, but I expect the pitching to be a much more of a bigger challenge coming from TCU than it was from Houston.
Yeah, I would think so. But the good news is you get to play at home, which is something you haven't really done a whole lot of. So yeah. I hope there's big crowds. It's not going to conflict with the basketball. So if you're worried about that, you can get your baseball in and then go home and tune in to Double T 97.3 and get your basketball in as well. The fellas are staying in Wichita. Jeff Haxton, Chris Level, they're camped out there in Doodah and anxiously awaiting the Saturday contest against Drake. Okay, I'm sure they'll find something to do. Looks like the weather's going to be very favorable. A high of 75 today, high of 86 tomorrow, and 71 on Sunday. Don't know really what the wind's going to do, but it could blow 20 miles an hour and it would feel like a gentle breeze
compared to what we've seen. No doubt. No doubt.
The winds are east-southeast today at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So it's a Chamber of Commerce day, Jamie. Hand out the buttons, okay?
Okay.
Well, greet everybody. Yeah, with that. Somebody wants to know if I think Drake is rooting for Drake. I think Drake is rooting for him, Drake.
I think I saw something.
That guy's messed up.
I think I saw on one of the shows last night, or post game to one of them, that he tweeted out something about winners keep winning or something. I don't know, in honor of the Drake team.
Yeah, well, he ain't winning right now. That's for doggone sure. Drake is winning, but Drake ain't winning. 8:10 this morning here on the Morning Drive on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at Double T 97.3.com.